Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Have you ever wondered how culture shapes our language and communication? Well, let's take a deep dive into this fascinating topic. You see, our language is drenched in a rich tapestry of cultural references spun from the threads of historical events, classic literature, and popular culture. Take, for instance, the phrase catch-22, born from Joseph Heller's novel of the same name, which now stands for an impossible situation where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Or consider how Groundhog Day, originating from a film, has come to symbolize a situation that endlessly repeats. These references are like secret codes, adding layers of meaning to our conversations and writings. They are the spices that add flavor to our language, making it more vibrant, more expressive. Indeed, culture and language are two sides of the same coin, influencing and shaping each other. So how do we decipher these cultural references? To unravel the mysteries of cultural allusions in literature and film, we must first delve into the heart of the text, where these references often lie in wait. Consider the classic novel Moby Dick by Herman Melville. The story revolves around a whaling ship's captain's obsession with a white whale. But did you know that Moby Dick is more than just a whale? Melville's Leviathan is a symbol of the inscrutable and indifferent universe, a powerful metaphor that's been borrowed and reinterpreted in countless other works of literature and film. Moving from classics to contemporary works, let's take J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. The magical world of Hogwarts is steeped in cultural references. For instance, the character of Albus Dumbledore, whose name means white bumblebee in Latin, symbolizes wisdom and transformation, much like bumblebees in various cultures. Then there's the world of film. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is a masterclass in cultural symbolism. The infamous Bates Motel, for example, has come to represent a place of hidden danger and deceit, a reference that's echoed in many films and TV shows today. But how do we understand these allusions and metaphors? It's all about context. Understanding the time, place, and culture in which a text is created can help us decipher its cultural references. For instance, knowing that Moby Dick was written during a time of rapid industrialization and religious skepticism can shed light on the book's existential themes. Similarly, being aware that Harry Potter was penned in a postmodern era marked by a fascination with the supernatural and a questioning of established norms can help us appreciate its intricate web of cultural symbols. In essence, understanding cultural references can help us better understand the nuances of English language and communication. By learning to recognize and interpret these allusions, we can enrich our language skills, becoming more adept at understanding and using English in its full complexity and beauty. Now, it's time for you to put your understanding to the test. Let's dive right into an interactive exercise. Think of this as a treasure hunt, where the gems are cultural references hidden in the heart of English literature and film. We'll present a series of quotes or scenes, and your task is to identify the cultural references in each one. For instance, consider this famous quote from The Great Gatsby. "So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past." What's the cultural reference here? It's an allusion to the Sisyphean struggle from Greek mythology, reflecting the futile pursuit of the American dream. Quite deep, isn't it? Or how about this line from the film The Matrix? "Welcome to the desert of the real." This is a reference to philosopher Jean Baudrillard's concept of hyperreality, a commentary on our perception of reality in a digital age. These references are not just decorative flourishes. They add layers of meaning, making the dialogue or narrative more rich and thought-provoking. By recognizing these references, you unlock a deeper understanding of the text or film. So keep your eyes and ears open as you read and watch. The more you familiarize yourself with the cultural landscape, the easier it becomes to spot these references. Great job! Identifying cultural references is a crucial step in understanding advanced English. Ready for another challenge? Let's dive right in. This time we're going to step it up a notch, and instead of identifying cultural references, you'll be creating them. Think of it as a fun exercise to put your newly acquired knowledge to use. Picture this. You're in a conversation and you want to express that something is very unlikely to happen. How could you do it using a cultural reference? If you're thinking, "when pigs fly," you're absolutely spot on. This idiom, which originated from Old English and Scottish proverbs, is an amusing way to convey that an event is highly improbable. Now imagine you're trying to describe an extremely difficult task. what cultural reference comes to your mind? If you're thinking, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, you've nailed it again. This phrase, which likely originated from Don Quixote, a 17th century novel by Miguel de Cervantes, is a classic metaphor for a nearly impossible quest. Remember, the key to employing cultural references is not just to know them, but to apply them appropriately. It's about understanding the context, the audience, and the nuances of the language. So don't hesitate to experiment, to play around with words, to create your own linguistic masterpiece. Well done! Applying cultural references effectively can make your language skills more nuanced and sophisticated. As we wrap up, let's revisit the main points we've covered. We began our journey by acknowledging the power of cultural references. We saw how they are like threads woven into the fabric of English language, giving it depth, color, and texture. They are powerful tools that enable us to communicate complex ideas, emotions, and experiences in a concise and engaging manner. We then peeled back the layers of cultural references in literature and film. We delved into Shakespeare's plays, Dickens's novels, and the cinematic universes of Hollywood, uncovering the treasure trove of cultural references they contain. Whether it's the tragic tale of Romeo and Juliet or the epic saga of Star Wars, we discovered how these works have shaped the English language and continue to influence how we communicate today. In the third scene, we put on our detective hats and learned how to identify cultural references. We realized they can take many forms, from allusions to historical events, to metaphors inspired by literary works, to idioms rooted in popular culture. Then, we took our understanding a step further and explored how to apply cultural references effectively. We learned that the key is to understand the context and to use these references appropriately and creatively, to add richness and sophistication to our language. The journey we embarked on today is just the tip of the iceberg. Understanding cultural references is not just about becoming proficient in English. It's about gaining a deeper appreciation of the culture that shapes the language. It's about connecting with people on a more meaningful level. It's about seeing the world from different perspectives. With every cultural reference you learn, you're not just adding a new word or phrase to your vocabulary. You're unlocking a piece of the cultural puzzle that makes up the English language. Remember, mastering cultural references is not just about learning a language. It's about understanding a culture. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep improving your English.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level C1. Allusion. Allusion, an indirect or passing reference to an event, person, place, or artistic work that is not explicitly mentioned but is assumed to be known by the reader or listener. Example, modern novels often contain allusions to Shakespeare's plays, enriching the text with deeper cultural context. Colloquialism. Colloquialism, a word or phrase that is not formal or literary and is used in ordinary or familiar conversation. Example, colloquialisms can vary greatly between different English-speaking regions, providing insight into local culture and attitudes. Euphemism. Euphemism, a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing. Example, the use of euphemisms is common in polite society, often to avoid offending sensibilities. Idiom. Idiom, a phrase or a fixed expression that has a figurative meaning different from its literal meaning. Example, idioms such as kick the bucket are puzzling to learners of English because they cannot be translated literally. Jargon. Jargon, special words or expressions used by a profession or group that are difficult for others to understand. Example, legal or medical jargon can be quite confusing for those outside those fields, reflecting specialized knowledge and practices. Metaphor. Metaphor, a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Example, describing someone's ability to charm others as he could talk the birds out of the trees is a metaphor that emphasizes his persuasive skills. Satire. Satire, the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. Example: satirical works are often used to challenge the status quo and provoke thoughtful entertainment. Symbolism. Symbolism, the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal sense. Example: in literature, a journey can be a symbol of personal transformation, with each stage reflecting different challenges faced by the protagonist.